Assalamu alaikum. Welcome and thank you for joining us in our session today. It is my third year with MENA ISC 2021, and as last year, I'm very sad we cannot do this in person, but we will make do with what we have to make do until everything is back to normal. But thank you for taking the time to join this session with us at Anomali, myself, Andrew, and today I'm joined by my colleague Winston. Winston is our senior threat intelligence analyst and researcher that is primarily focused on the Middle East. And this is why we're having this discussion today, is because Winston and our team recently discovered a APT campaign targeting the ministries in the UAE as well as Kuwait and a few others. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So what we're going to focus on is on the muddy water or the static kitten APT, which is going to be the primary focus of the call or the session today. And we're going to also be looking at a few other things as well. So for our agenda in today's session, what we have is we're going to be looking at very quickly the cyber adversary universe that are actors that are targeting the Middle East. We're going to be looking at a few of the names out there that are very active, that have been active, and the verticals that they're looking at. Then we're going to focus a little bit more on static kitten or muddy water, as they are known. We're going to look at their target verticals, the lure themes, and some other things around this threat actor group as well. Then Winston is going to take over, and this is the section of the call or the session that you do not want to miss. This is where he deep dives into the campaign that was recently discovered by the Anomaly team, led by Winston, and he did some fantastic work over there. So we're going to be looking at what was discovered, how it was attributed, and all the technical information around that. And then just to take things home, we're going to discuss how once people like Winston and other threat researchers out there are finding these things, how do you hunt for this inside of your organization? But we're going to be looking at how to do this with Anomaly tools. So, and then we're going to have the end, which is going to be the Q&A for some questions that Winston and myself will be available to answer for you. So if we look at the region of the Middle East and trying to kind of understand what the adversaries are that are out there, you can see that there's quite a significant array of threat actors that are targeting different industries and verticals. You know, they come from all over the place. It's no secret that financial threats are primarily focused in European nations, but this is all migrated. And in the Middle East, we are dealing with this type of threat very often, and especially some of the nation states like the oil rig threat actors as well. They are Iranian based as well, but today our primary focus is going to be around muddy water or static kitten. So let's look a little bit more on static kitten and what they're all about. So if we kind of see that they first were seen in 2017 when they were targeting governmental entities within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Iraq. So that is the first kind of known really attribution to this actor group is in 2017. Now, it's not to say that they weren't active before then, but it's just when they became a known APT. So since 27, they've been active, and they've been targeting, a whole bunch of entities across the world, but primarily in the Middle East. And it's from all accounts and from all the research, it points to that they are based in Iran. Now, they have been doing some false flag attacks as well, which have been documented and has been seen, that they are using, for example, what they call masquerading. And obviously their main priority or their main TTP is the spear phishing attack, which is how they basically get a foothold into where they need to be. But what they've been doing in terms of masquerading is they've been hiding Chinese characters inside of their code to make it look like, or try to make look like it is not, an Iranian-based or any other type of geographic located threat actor group, but trying to masquerade as a Chinese actor group. So this has been also documented. And some of the things they do credential dumping, and they use remote access software, which is going to be one of the key points that Winston is going to be discussing today. Now, the countries that they are targeting, they've been targeting countries all over the world, including the United States and some other ones. But we're more concerned about what's happening in the Middle East. And in the Middle East, they've been extremely active. So our focus today is going to be just focusing on the campaigns in the Middle East, as well as the information that we have on the Middle East. So you can see the countries that they've been targeting primarily: the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Bahrain, Jordan, Turkey, Iraq, and then of course the other countries as well. So it's very interesting to see that their focus is kind of in that space. Now, breaking that down, and again, we're only focusing on the Middle East. Where are they most active? So you can see that from this little, pie chart we've generated here from the information we were able to collect, is that their major target is government and ministry targets. So they are going after, high value, high level targets to basically try and get credentials, get information. So we are safe to say that this is potentially nation backed or nation state attacks, but you can see that there's a much bigger focus from their side on government and ministries within the Middle East. So what we're going to look at as well is the lures that they use. So you can see that the targets that they go after is, and what they're using, as kind of decoys and make it look legitimate. And this is going to be very apparent when you see Winston's dissection of their very recent attack. You can see that they are using things that are generally opened in emails by government employees or ministry employees. So this one here, for example, was targeted at Turkey and Jordan, and this was one, it was just some time ago. But other of their lures as well, from historical data, has seen that you can see that some of the names that they use inside of their documents are something that you generally would open because it seems of interest, because it might be very related or very important to you. So they obviously are fluent in Arabic, which means that they can craft their lures in Arabic as well, which we will see as well. Now, if we look at the most recent lures in their attacks, is that you can see that there's a very common thing when you open up a document that is an attachment from them, and is that there is a second step that needs to happen inside of this document, where you normally have the blurred out text in the background, and then you have to enable editing, or you have to enable something on the document in order for their code to execute and then basically infect your machine. So this is something that we want to point out, to be very careful, is when you receive something like this. And first of all, if you're unsure, send it to your internal security team. Let them have a look. Let them understand it before opening documents and then potentially infecting your entire network and giving the actors the upper hand. So be very careful when you see a document like this where there's a blurred out background and it says to enable the document, you need to click something or enable something. This is something that that we should teach ourselves on a daily basis. So before we dive into Winston's presentation, here is the latest campaign, and you can see obviously fluent Arabic. And this is something that can trick you, because this is the language that you speak. And if I read something that is in my language, it's something personal to me. It doesn't seem like a very generic email, but it's something that I will definitely open up. So for further analysis, we're going to go to Winston now and understand more a bit about this campaign that was recently discovered by our team.
Thanks, Andrew. Also, thank you everyone for joining the session today. I am Winston Marydasan, a senior consultant with Anomali. As part of my duties, I engage with various clients, especially in Middle East, to mature their threat intelligence program, obviously beholding the Anomali suite of products, and I also perform threat research in the region. Having said that, let us jump into this session. Today I'm going to talk about a recent campaign which we discovered regarding done by the Muddy Water, also known as Static Eaton. So yeah, let's jump into this session. Before we begin, I just want to emphasize one important aspect in threat intelligence landscape. That's regarding the known threat actors and unknown threat actors. So if an individual or even a company wants to track, and then eventually they want to attribute a particular activity or campaign to a threat activity or threat actor, the most important thing is we should know thoroughly about all the threat actors. What are their motives? What are their TTPs? What they did and what they're doing, and all the technicalities behind that. Only if we know about them, the non-threat actors, that we can attribute an activity of an unknown threat actor. So recently we have seen vendors talking about uncategorized threat actors, and we are running behind them. Why? Because they knew about all the activities done by the non-actors. And who knows, in the later stage, those uncategorized activity could be attributed back to non-threat actors. So all these are interconnected. So to attribute anything, we need to know about non-threat actors. That should be the aim of a threat intelligence team, or any threat, security analyst who wants to track a threat actor as well. Okay, so yeah, having said that, let's just jump into the next slide. So muddy water, also static heater, it's an Iranian ABT group. So we saw that in 2017, Palo Alto talked about this particular threat actor. And then eventually in 2018, Kaspersky told about the expansion operations by Muddy Water. And then 2019 by Trend Micro, and 2020 friends at Clear Sky talked about the Operation QuickSat done by the Muddy Water. Um, Obviously, against Israeli organization. There was a lot of changes uh, in the TTPs done, TTPs from the of Muddy Water. And then in 2021, we found a recent campaign done by Muddy Water, probably. And I would like to explain a little bit deeper into this technicalities of this particular campaign. Um, okay, so let's get into the infection chain. Sorry. Okay, so one of the important thing is the initial vector or the patient zero. Uh, that is something very important. Even if we are tracking some threat actors, or if you're tracking some threat campaign, or we are doing some kind of incident response activities or threat hunting activities, all these directs us back to patient zero, from where it first started, and then what it was that particular campaign was doing, and then what was the final motive of that particular campaign. So this is the flow. So in this particular campaign, we found that phishing email or spear phishing email was the patient zero, the first uh, step the attacker tries to get into. And one of the important aspect about this particular spear phishing attachment or the email is how it is being targeted to the audience, because Muddy Water is infamous for um, targeting the government entities as well. So when they come up with a spear phishing campaign, the subject or the body or the theme will be to make the user click that link, or in other words, they hit the biggest link very firmly. So that's what happened here as well. So phishing email came. There was a Leo document. It's a docx file, and the docx file contains a link. It's a kind of a overlay link, I would say. The link was it looks to be the link as of um, National Media Council of United Arab Emirates, but then actually the link will take you to a storage website called onehub.com, and at the destination there will be a zip file, actual file, which will be downloaded into the user machine. And then again the weakest link, the human interaction is needed in this aspect, because the theme is very convincing in some case. So some of them at least. And then even the zip file contains a typical name for us to make us to click, kind of masquerading the Kuwaiti government as well. And within that zip file, there is an exe file with the same name of the zip file in some of the cases. And that exe file is um, a non-remote support tool of ScreenConnect. Now it is called, now it is under ConnectWise. ConnectWise acquired the ScreenConnect. So ScreenConnect is typically like a team viewer or any other remote controllable software like VNC, etc. So this is the legitimate tool, and if you see in the public or the internet, you will see numerous variants of this particular tool, ScreenConnect. A lot of people, a lot of MSPs, a lot of tech support guys use this particular um, tool. So it is pretty much tedious job to, tricky to identify actual samples of this particular um, campaign as such, and whether it is really a commodity malware or is it a kind of real threat actors sample as such. So this particular ScreenConnect, what it normally does, let's talk about what normally it does, right? For us to understand what is something different from that. So the moment ScreenConnect, the exe is executed in a normal condition, um, it initiates or it drops a MSI file, and then it tries to create a service in the client machine, and then that service will be connect with the server where the ScreenConnect server is running. In that way, the remote user can interact with the laptop or desktop or anything, and then they can troubleshoot, they can check any or send some files or control the machine and all those things, right? Get an essence. So in essence, so what really happening is, if an attacker get hold of this particular ScreenConnect software, it is a legitimate software. Obviously, there is nothing harm on that. And if he is installing in a victim machine, it, I mean, if the company is not having that strict policy that um, ScreenConnect cannot be used, or if there is no audit happening every now and then, if that is the case, there is high chance it will go unnoticed in some circumstances, right? So ScreenConnect gets installed. This time, this ScreenConnect has um, a typical custom launch parameters embedded by the attacker, so that he will understand that this particular campaign is typically targeted to an organization. And then the moment that particular ScreenConnect executable, if you can see in the screen, executes, it drops an MSI file, Microsoft installer file, and that file contains the launch parameters to be launched when a new service is being launched, right? So you can see that a new service will be launched, and that service will beacon back to the server, this time controlled by the attacker, and it tells the attacker that, okay, this is the properties, and the attacker who see this, the particular launch parameters, will understand, okay, this particular campaign was against a particular Minister of Foreign Affairs or Minister of Interiors, etc. in UAE. So okay, good. So I got a victim, right? So that is where this is very critical. We have seen that ransomware is being utilized to send across through this ScreenConnect infection chains, right? So in the past, so that is very scary at this moment. So this is about the high level view about this particular campaign happened. Now let us talk about the Leo document and the suspicious file, right? So this is how the Leo document looks like. I hope some of you guys can read through this particular Arabic. Uh, uh, the body of the document. Yeah, and then you can see that overlay link. the ws.onehub.com/files and etc. This was actually attributed by Clear Sky in 2020. They told about this one hub being utilized by the Muddy Water, and we can evidently see that here as well. And you can see that in nmc.govern.ae, there's a legitimate website, but then you can see the overlay original website where the user will be redirected to. Okay, and then how we identify this particular, whole campaign is from a file which we found as part of our collection, routine collection mechanisms. We saw a kind of a suspicious file name. You can see that it's the https mod.govern.kw.zip. This could be one of the zip which got downloaded from this particular link in the document. So the translated one is like analysis and study of the normalization of relations between the Arab countries and Israel. So this is something critical, right? This is where the muddy water or Iranian APT groups essence come in. This particular zip file, the name as well, is kind of tempting, at least some of the users who are in critical positions, or the users in government entities who thinks about, okay, there was recent coalition between the Arab countries and Israel, so which was not a good thing for some of the, maybe the attackers as well. And that could be one of the luring um, sentiments which can be utilized to make the user click that particular one, right? And you can see that this is the translated version of the document. You can see the left side. So this is right side is the translated one. So it is evidently targeted to employees of government agencies. And then after, you see that in view of the situation in the region, especially after the US elections and concerns about Iranian actions and all those things, trying to make the user convinced that this could be from a trusted source, and we are going to know more about this thing when we click this particular link. So that is where it is hitting the weakest link. You can see that it is talking about the coalition between the Arab countries and Israel very clearly. And this is one of the very important aspect that we could directly kind of attribute to Iranian muddy water. We have seen in the past that these kind of sentimental emails coming in as a spear phishing attachment as well. Okay, and then of course launch parameters, which I'm going to explain more about that. So launch parameters also suggest how this particular sample or the ScreenConnect sample stands out from the commodity ScreenConnect malwares or legitimate files as well in the wild, right? So yeah, so here is the launch parameters. So this particular screenshot, what we see here, this is a view of the Microsoft installer file, which the real malware, the ScreenConnect version from Muddy Water dropped, right? So MSA file contained a hard-coded launch parameters. You can see I highlighted here. So service client launch parameters. So again, repeating, the moment the executable is executed, there will be a MSI file dropped into that machine. That MSI file contains, this is the MSI file contains a portion of the contents. So you can see there's a ScreenConnect software and the version, and you can see this is a redacted version. There's a which I will be showing soon. There will be much more data in the launch parameters, and you can see that this particular morpha govern.kw, etc., right? So this is important. So the next slide, which I'm going to show you, is talking about this launch parameters, how it is standing out from the typical ScreenConnect versions, right? So in the launch parameters of ScreenConnect, there are, these are legitimate. We can utilize these particular, ScreenConnect, uh, I mean, ScreenConnect is a legitimate software, right? So these are all legitimate. but the content there and the Leo document and all this connects together to be malicious. That's the connectivity. That's attribution we found, right? So you can see the E means the type of session, it's access, meet, or support, and Y is a guest or host something, and then H is the URI to reach the server relay service, where the attacker maybe they have the server running there, the server version. So client and server relationship here. So the server is running in the attacker side, client is in the victim machine, right? Sorry. So in the port where the 443 is the port where it is connecting to, and the GUID of the client itself. And this is the encoded encryption key used to verify the identity, of course. And now um, let's see. Uh, I mean, let's see about this particular parameter C, which is called custom. So there is no need to mention this one within the ScreenConnect. Even without these parameters, it will run efficiently. That's what happening with the normal ScreenConnect softwares. But attacker decided to keep these custom properties because he or she might be having a lot of campaigns running parallelly, and he wants to know who are the victims from, where are the victims from, who are the victims, and what could be the next actions I should do. So that is where the custom properties contains, or it can hold anything, whatever we provide, right? So attacker decided to provide MOFA, assuming that it's a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs government.kw, and then PC and all those stuff, right? Personal computer. So all these are there. So the moment the client communicates to the server, the attacker will understand, okay, this is from MOFA, user from MOFA, because he might have sent that particular Leo document especially targeted to that particular user or the entity itself, right? So here is the launch parameters extracted from multiple samples which we identified regarding this particular campaign. So all these are taken from that MSI file which got dropped from these exes. So this is an executable. So you can see this is in Arabic, and then we saw that the why this is being named in this fashion, right? So you can see that, okay, there is a ScreenConnect code install, and then this is the launch parameters, gust, and this the server location and and then you can see this highlighted here. C is equal to mofa govern.kw, C is equal to mofa, and then this is BC. So this is typically targeted to maybe Kuwait mofa. And then the second one, this is something Turkish, I would say, digital um, library or something, the translation. And then this particular campaign, this particular sample also has a custom properties. This time it is evidently mentioned that this is targeting the government, the ministry. So since they told about this government, he decided to keep this government ministry in hard coded. That means I'm assuming that this is Ministry of Foreign Affairs, MFA, and the Ministry of Interiors, right? I'm thinking what could be S. Maybe I'm wrong, uh, but then you can see that this is MFA here. It's Ministry of Foreign Affairs maybe, and then Ministry of Foreign Affairs .gov. So this MFA could be this one, and Ministry of Ministry of Interiors here. S. I don't want to say this is Saudi, but I don't have any proof that it is indeed being utilized for that, because this particular sample, this particular exe has a parent as a zip file which is in Arabic, right? So it could be, same file could be renamed and used in Saudi as well. Who knows? So it could be Saudi, it could be Singapore, anything, but ran in a APT group. They typically target the Middle East. Yeah, so these launch parameters which we extracted really helped to attribute back to the initial vector sentiments and the TTPs from the historical TTPs from Iranian equity groups like Muddy Water. And then we could stitch together, okay, the initial vector and the TTPs, the sentiments and the TTPs, and then at last the launch parameters, which is really targeting to the government entities in the Middle East, and these samples which was then uploaded from or submitted from these Middle East countries. Um, we cannot deny the fact that this particular campaign could be spread across to multiple other countries. Even though it is not publicly available, it could be flourishing somewhere, distributed some of the users, or maybe got stuck in email gateways as well. So anything is possible. Only thing is like we need to do is to defend against these particular campaigns or threat actors, for defending them, for attributing them, or to proactively kind of create some contents to detect these particular campaigns, to know about that particular threat actor group, what are their capabilities, be abreast about the latest news, latest threats, and latest observables or indicator compromise. And then we know the story behind this particular campaign. That is very important. So how do we defend in a basic way? How we can defend is like do some audits about for example, the ScreenConnect is a legitimate software. Is it okay to run in your company or not? Or do you have a policy that you should use only a particular allowed um, software for remote connect purposes, right? So that is very important. So every time we could audit, or if you have a SIM solution, you could write rules, or if you have endpoint protection, you can write policies to block any execution of this particular these um, um, ScreenConnect or any VNC viewer or any team viewer, etc., etc. So you can write policies um, not to run from temp folders, etc. So there are a lot of possibilities we can do, and from EDR side, we can also emphasize on blocking or finding these kind of activities as well, um, and creating hypothesis. Document for the threat hunters to go ahead and research on these particular campaigns now that it is available though. So why threat hunters handbook cannot have this kind of hypothesis to go ahead and hunt? So all these possibilities are aligned, but then very important aspect is proactive threat intelligence. So that is where we focus on as well. I would recommend a lot about this, because if I'm talking about this particular EXE, it is an IOC, indicator of compromise, maybe that hash, or the particular the relay server which is just trying to communicate all these observables. But we need to think about a story behind that. That is called threat models. Threat models is very important. It holds multiple stories, and then it contains an associated observables. That is where we drive with Anomali suite of products as well. So so that is very important. Proactive intelligence is very important for to detect, to act, to track, and then to attribute any threat activity or campaigns in the region. So moreover, this is a view of ThreatStream, Anomaly ThreatStream, which is a threat intelligence platform. I love this one, even in my research as well, because here it shows the MITRE framework. Here you can see some of the TTPs are highlighted, like CMTP, PowerShell, remote copy file. These are some of the TTPs of Muddy Water, just for the just highlighted. But then you can see that there is an option for security coverage. Now let's take one TTP. Excuse me. Let's take PowerShell. So are we really able to detect if there is any PowerShell activity, malicious PowerShell activity in your environment? If so, that is good. So if not, that is not good, because two of the things we need to think about when it comes to PowerShell detection, we might think about whether the PowerShell logging is enabled, and whether we have enough solutions to detect in the PowerShell suspicious activity. We do not want a simple PowerShell being executed in the machine. We need to know what parameters being passed through the PowerShell. These falls under security control coverages, right? If you're going with Windows security audit events, new service being or new service being initiated or something like that is not important. We need to know the real parameters being passed through. So that is where security coverage comes in. So where we can specify each stages of MITRE, and then we specify, okay, this particular TTP, this particular tactic is we can identify these particular TTPs because we have enough security coverage. So this is one of the job to be done by each companies. They try to see each TTPs as a goal and then specify the security coverage, how effectively the security controls detect each TTPs. If everything is green, that means even if there is a threat activity happening, you will be able to be calm and then act against those, because our security control already detected that one, or it is capable of detecting that one. So we at Anomali, we try to help clients to investigate a particular campaign, threat actor, associate each other, associate threat models, IOCs, etc. And then we try to tag each TTP with the security coverage you define for your company, so that eventually you will understand, okay, this particular investigation which I'm doing, this particular tracking activity which I am doing has these TTPs, which is important, but our security control and needs to be enhanced to detect these ones, right? Or maybe your security control is well, they're good enough to detect this. So this is one of the important, I mean, important activity which needs to be done by each companies. Yeah, having said that, yes, that is it from my side. Over to Andrew. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Winston. So that's obviously very interesting to understand the TTPs and the way that our team has dissected this. But what happens when the finished product has been compiled by ourselves or by any other threat intelligence vendor outside of your organization that is looking at the situational awareness intelligence that sometimes customers or prospects or end users do not have access to? Once this is all finished, then you would want to take that information and operationalize it, send it into your security controls, and have it blocked. But what you also would want to be able to do is very quickly and effectively hunt down any potential activity related to this specific campaign or something that you are tracking via this. So I'm going to go now and show how you would achieve this with Anomaly solutions. So here we can see the finished intelligence report that was compiled by Anomali that contains all the detailed information about this specific campaign. You can see it's quite an extensive read because there's obviously a lot of work that went into it. And as we saw by Winston's presentation, that there's a few intricate details that sometimes you will not be privy to unless you have the ability to do a very deep dive on a specific malware sample and things like that. But in this instance, what we do have is we have indicators of compromise. So what we want to do is we want to find these indicators on our network as soon as possible. So with Anomaly Lens that is connected to Match and Threat Stream, we can do a quick scan of the page and Lens will quickly identify not only the hashes, the URLs and domains and things like that, but can query into Match and quickly identify any potential activity in relation to your environment that has happened. In this instance here, there has been sightings of both hashes and command and control traffic to the CNC for this campaign. So in a matter of seconds, we're able to quickly go into Match and identify across almost 5 million events, as you can see here, very quickly that there has been sightings and the entire time range of the sightings that have been happening inside of our organization. It's really as simple as that. So there's Obviously, a lot more detail that goes into the triage and any further investigation regarding the assets or things that have been compromised in this instance. However, the ability to identify a threat related to a specific intelligence requirement, in this instance, the APT threat group static kitten, it takes a mere couple of seconds. And now we've come to the end of our presentation here today at MENA ISC. I would like to thank MENA ISC for once again having us participate. And we now are going to open up the questions for the audience. So feel free to ask any questions to myself or to Winston. Or if you do not have any questions right now, please reach out to us in our personal capacities. Our details will be provided. Thank you very much.